You wake up in the morning, and the very first thing you do, even before brushing your teeth, is reach for that bottle of pills sitting on the nightstand next to your bed. Metformin, glibenclamide, or whatever name your doctor wrote on that prescription months ago, maybe even years ago. You swallow the pill with a glass of water, you check your blood sugar, and you wait. You wait, hoping that today the number will finally be better. But it isn't. 190, 220, sometimes 300. You let out a deep sigh, write the number down in your notebook, and start yet another day carrying that heavy weight in your chest. That feeling that no matter how hard you try, no matter how many pills you take, your blood sugar simply refuses to come down. You look at your hands and notice that slight trembling that wasn't there before. You feel that dizziness that shows up out of nowhere, that cold sweat in the middle of the afternoon. You start wondering if the diabetes is getting worse or if the medication is working too much. No one really explains it to you. No one warns you. You just keep taking the medication because that's what you were told to do. And at every appointment, when you show your numbers and say you're not getting better, what happens? The doctor increases the dose or adds another medication. You walk out of the office holding a new prescription, a new sense of hope, and that same old fear you've carried for years. Fear that one day you'll wake up and won't be able to walk properly because of neuropathy. Fear of looking in the mirror and realizing your vision is so blurry you can't clearly see the faces of the people you love. Fear of hearing the doctor say your kidneys are failing, that you'll need dialysis, that your life now depends on a machine. You take your medications exactly the way you were told. You try to follow the diet. You avoid sweets. You walk when your body allows. But the numbers don't improve. And with every passing month, you feel your body getting weaker, more tired, heavier, as if you're carrying a burden that only keeps growing. At night, when you lie down in bed and close your eyes, that thought comes back, the one you try to push away, but it always returns. How much time do I have left? How long until everything completely falls apart? You look at your partner sleeping next to you and feel a deep sense of guilt. Guilt for not doing enough. Guilt for possibly becoming a burden. Guilt for not being able to control something that should be under your control. In the morning, you wake up again, reach for that bottle of pills again, and the cycle starts all over. But what if I told you that maybe this isn't your fault? What if the problem isn't your lack of discipline or the so-called natural progression of the disease? What if one of the medications you're taking, the one you believe is helping you, is actually sabotaging all your efforts, preventing your blood sugar from stabilizing and accelerating the very complications you fear the most? There is a specific category of diabetes medications prescribed to millions of people over the age of 60, medications that seem to work at first, medications that lower blood sugar quickly during the first few months, but over time they do exactly the opposite. They exhaust your pancreas. They cause weight gain. They dramatically increase the risk of severe hypoglycemia. And worst of all, recent studies show they may increase the risk of cardiovascular events and even death in older patients. Today, you're going to discover exactly which medication this is, why it's especially dangerous if you're over 60, and most importantly, what you can do about it. Because you deserve to know the truth. You deserve access to information that could literally save your life. I know this journey with diabetes has been hard for you. I know you've tried so many things. You've followed so many different pieces of advice. You've taken so many different medications, and it feels like nothing truly works. You feel tired. You feel overwhelmed by so much conflicting information. One doctor says one thing, another doctor says something completely different, and you're stuck in the middle, not knowing who to trust. I understand that frustration deeply, and that is exactly why this channel exists. Here, you're going to find information that goes beyond what you're usually told inside a doctor's office. Information based on real scientific studies, explained in a way anyone can understand, without a bunch of complicated medical jargon that only makes everything more confusing. Every single week, I bring you new content about what actually works, treatments that make sense, medications you should question, natural strategies that can make a real difference in your numbers and in your quality of life. This is not about miracle promises. This is about giving you the knowledge you need so you can have better conversations with your doctor, make more informed decisions, and take back control of your health. If you want access to this kind of information every single week, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss any new video that could genuinely change your life. You are not alone in this fight. Here, we are a community of people who support each other, who share experiences, who fight together for a better life even while living with diabetes. You deserve the right information to take care of your health the best way possible. Let's walk this journey together. Now, pay very close attention to what I'm about to tell you. Right now, there are more than 8 million people over the age of 60 living with type 2 diabetes. Out of those, approximately 3.2 million are taking a class of medications called sulfonylureas. The most common names are glibenclide, also known as glyburide, glycoside, and glimepiride. If you take any of these, you need to listen carefully. These medications were developed back in the 1950s, more than 70 years ago, and for a long time they were considered the standard treatment for type 2 diabetes because they do one thing very well. They force your pancreas to produce more insulin. They literally squeeze your pancreatic beta cells for every last drop of insulin they can produce. And in the short term, it works. Your blood sugar goes down, you see better numbers, you feel hopeful. But here's the problem that almost no one explains to you clearly. Your pancreatic beta cells, the cells responsible for producing insulin, have a limited capacity, and this is especially true once you're over 60. When you force those cells to work at maximum capacity all the time, they burn out, they die, and once they're gone, they don't come back. Studies published over the last 5 years in journals like Diabetes Care and The Lancet have shown something deeply alarming. Patients who use sulfonylureas for more than 3 years experience up to a 60% reduction in pancreatic beta cell function compared to patients using other types of medications. 60%! That means the medication that's supposed to help you is actually destroying your body's ability to produce insulin naturally. And when that happens, you need higher and higher doses, or you need to add injectable insulin. It looks like the disease is progressing rapidly, but this is not natural progression. This is medication-induced damage. Let me paint a clear picture of what's happening inside your body when you take a sulfonylurea every single day. When you swallow that pill, it enters your bloodstream and travels directly to your pancreatic beta cells. There, it binds to specific receptors and forces those cells to release insulin. It doesn't matter if you've eaten or not. It doesn't matter if your blood sugar is high or already low. The medication forces insulin production no matter what. That is completely different from how your body is designed to work. Under normal conditions, your beta cells are smart. They sense how much glucose is in your blood and release the right amount of insulin at the right time. But with sulfonylureas, that fine control is gone. Your cells are forced to work nonstop. And that's where the problems begin. First problem, you are in constant danger of hypoglycemia. Because if you didn't eat enough, or if you exercised, or if the medication simply acted stronger on a given day, your insulin levels spike too high and your blood sugar crashes. You start sweating, you start shaking, you feel confused, dizzy, weak. In severe cases, you can lose consciousness, you can have seizures, you can slip into a coma. And studies show that people over 60 who use sulfonylureas have a 4 times higher risk of severe hypoglycemia compared to other treatments. 4 times. That is terrifying. Second problem, chronically high insulin causes weight gain. Insulin is a storage hormone. Its job is to take glucose out of the blood and store it inside cells. But when your cells are already full, that excess glucose gets converted into fat. So you gain weight even if you're eating the same way. And weight gain worsens insulin resistance, which worsens diabetes, which leads to more medication. It becomes a vicious cycle with no end. And third, and this is the most serious one of all, forcing beta cells to work at maximum capacity day after day exhausts them. Imagine your beta cells like a car engine. If you drive at full throttle every single day, pushing the engine to its limit nonstop, that engine is going to burn out much faster than if you drove at a steady, moderate pace. Research shows that after 5 years of continuous sulfonylurea use, many patients lose up to 70% of their beta cell function. 70%! And when that happens, there's no going back. You will need injectable insulin for the rest of your life. But here's what most doctors never tell you. There are alternatives. There are newer medications developed over the last 2 decades that work in a completely different way. They do not force your pancreas, they improve insulin sensitivity. They help your body use the insulin you already produce more effectively. And comparative studies show that these newer medications lead to better long-term glucose control, less weight gain, far lower risk of hypoglycemia, and most importantly, they preserve your beta cells. So why are sulfonylureas still prescribed so often? 2 main reasons. First, because that's what many doctors learned decades ago and continue prescribing out of habit. Second, because sulfonylureas are cheap. They cost a few dollars a month, while newer medications can cost 10 or even 20 times more. So in many healthcare systems, sulfonylureas are the easiest option. Even well-meaning doctors prescribe them because that's what's available. But here's the truth. Cheap today can be incredibly expensive tomorrow. If a medication is destroying your pancreas, causing dangerous hypoglycemia, making you gain weight, and increasing your risk of serious complications, it is not a bargain. It's a sentence. Now, before I show you exactly what you need to do if you're taking a sulfonylurea, I need to ask you an important question, and I want you to be completely honest with me and with yourself. Have you ever had an episode of hypoglycemia? Those moments when you suddenly start sweating, shaking, your heart racing, your mind getting foggy, your body feeling weak? Or worse, have you ever fainted, needed someone to help you? Woken up in the hospital without really knowing what happened? I know this isn't easy to talk about. Some people feel embarrassed. Some people blame themselves. They think it happened because they didn't eat properly or didn't plan their day well enough. But let me be very clear with you. If you are taking a sulfonylurea and experiencing hypoglycemia, this is not your fault. It's the medication doing exactly what it was designed to do. And you should not have to live in fear of passing out on the street, of having an episode while driving, or of collapsing in front of your grandchildren. In the comments under this video, there are hundreds of people going through the exact same thing. And you know what happens when someone finds the courage to share their story? When they say, "This happened to me. I was scared. I suffered." Other people read it and think, I'm not alone. Someone understands. Someone feels what I feel. And that changes everything. Because you realize this is not weakness. It's not failure. It's not a character flaw. It's a real problem caused by a real medication. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to read today to find the courage to talk to their doctor and ask for a different treatment. So go ahead and comment now. I'm going to lay this out for you very clearly now. I'm going to give you a list of the 10 worst and best approaches for people over 60 who have diabetes and are taking sulfonylureas. We're going to start from number 10 and go all the way to number 1, which is the most important of all. So stay with me. Number 10. Continuing to take the medication without questioning it just because the doctor prescribed it. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make. Look, I deeply respect doctors. They study for many years to take care of our health. But doctors are human. They make mistakes, they follow outdated protocols, they often prescribe what they learned 20 years ago without staying up to date with the latest research. You have to be the advocate for your own health. If you are taking glyburide, gliclazide, or glimepiride, and your blood sugar is not controlled, if you are having hypoglycemia, if you are gaining weight, you have every right to ask questions. You can ask your doctor, "Doctor, are there newer alternatives available? I've read that sulfonylureas can exhaust the pancreas over time. Is that true? Could we try a different medication?" A good doctor will listen to your concerns and consider changes. A bad doctor will get defensive and ignore you. And if that happens, it may be time to find another doctor. Continuing without questioning gets a score of 1 out of 10 because it means handing your life over to someone else without participating in decisions about your own body. Number 9. Believing mild hypoglycemia is not serious. Many people experience mild hypoglycemia, those episodes where you feel the symptoms but manage to recover by eating something sweet, and they think it's no big deal. But it is a big deal. Every episode of hypoglycemia, even mild ones, causes damage to the brain. Studies show that older adults who experience recurrent hypoglycemia have accelerated cognitive decline and a higher risk of dementia. Because when the brain is deprived of glucose, nerve cells die, and nerve cells do not regenerate. Hypoglycemia also increases the risk of falls, fractures, and accidents. You could be driving, you could be climbing stairs, you could be home alone. The consequences can be fatal. If you are having frequent hypoglycemia, even mild, that is a clear sign your treatment is wrong and needs to change. Thinking mild hypoglycemia is harmless gets a 2 out of 10. It's underestimating a very serious risk. Number 8. Taking sulfonylureas on an empty stomach. This is a technical mistake many people make. Sulfonylureas should be taken with meals or immediately before eating, never on an empty stomach. Because if you take the medication without eating, your insulin levels will spike and your blood sugar will crash. Many people wake up, take all their pills together, and only eat breakfast an hour later. Or worse, they skip breakfast entirely. That's a recipe for severe hypoglycemia. If you take a sulfonylurea, always take it with real food, not just black coffee. A proper meal with carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Taking sulfonylureas on an empty stomach gets a 3 out of 10. It's an easy mistake to fix, but it causes serious problems. Number 7. Combining sulfonylureas with alcohol. Alcohol greatly increases the hypoglycemic effect of sulfonylureas. That means drinking while on these medications dramatically raises your risk of hypoglycemia. And here's what makes it even more dangerous. The symptoms of hypoglycemia look very similar to alcohol intoxication: dizziness, confusion, slurred speech. So you could be experiencing a severe hypoglycemic episode, and the people around you might think you're just drunk. Studies show that combining sulfonylureas with alcohol increases the risk of severe hypoglycemia by up to 5 times. 5 times! If you take sulfonylureas, it's safest to avoid alcohol completely. If you do drink, keep it minimal, always drink with food, and monitor your blood sugar very closely. Combining sulfonylureas with alcohol gets a 4 out of 10. It's simply too dangerous. Number 5, not monitoring your blood sugar regularly. If you're taking a medication that can cause hypoglycemia, you must monitor your blood sugar multiple times a day. Fasting, before meals, 2 hours after meals, before bed, especially in the first months of treatment or whenever the dose is adjusted. But many people don't do this. They check once a week or only when they go to the doctor. That leaves you completely blind to what the medication is actually doing in your body. Get a glucose meter if you don't have one. They're affordable. Test strips are much more accessible now than they used to be. Track your numbers, write them down, bring them to your doctor. This can literally save your life. Not monitoring regularly gets a 5 out of 10. You're flying blind. Number 5. Using sulfonylureas if you have a history of heart disease. This is critical. Recent studies, including one published in the New England Journal of Medicine, show that sulfonylureas increase cardiovascular risk in older patients: heart attacks, strokes, sudden cardiac death. The exact mechanism isn't fully understood, but it appears to be linked to the stress these medications place on the cardiovascular system, especially through recurrent hypoglycemia that forces the heart to function under extreme conditions. If you have history of heart attack, angina, heart failure, or arrhythmia, sulfonylureas are not the safest option. There are much safer alternatives. For example, SGLT2 inhibitors not only do not increase cardiovascular risk, they actually protect the heart. Studies show up to 35% reduction in cardiovascular mortality. If you have heart disease and are taking sulfonylureas, this is an urgent conversation you need to have with your doctor. Using sulfonylureas with heart disease gets a 6 out of 10. The risk is simply too high. Number 3, increasing the dose over time instead of changing the medication. This happens all the time. You start with a low dose, your blood sugar improves, then months later it rises again. The doctor increases the dose, it works briefly, then it stops working again. Eventually, you're at the maximum dose and your blood sugar is still uncontrolled. That's because the problem isn't the dose. The problem is that your beta cells are exhausted. Increasing the dose only accelerates the destruction of the few cells you have left. It's like whipping an exhausted horse and expecting it to run faster. If you're already at the maximum dose and your numbers are still high, you don't need more of the same medication. You need a different approach. Increasing doses gets a 7 out of 10. It's continuing down a path that clearly isn't working. Number 3, ignoring the signs that your beta cells are failing. There are clear warning signs. At first, the medication works well. Blood sugar improves, you feel better. Then, after 1, 2, or 3 years, blood sugar starts rising again, even though nothing has changed. The dose is increased, it works briefly, then blood sugar rises again. That pattern is a clear sign of beta cell failure. Another sign is the need for injectable insulin. If you started with sulfonylureas alone and now require insulin, it means your pancreas can no longer keep up, and continuing sulfonylureas at that point only makes things worse. Studies show that patients who switch away from sulfonylureas earlier preserve more pancreatic function and achieve better long-term control. Ignoring these signs gets an 8 out of 10. You're losing precious time. Number 2, not knowing the modern alternatives that are available today. Most people simply don't know that there are much better medications than sulfonylureas now. So let me walk you through the main options clearly and calmly. First, metformin. Metformin is still considered the first-line medication for type 2 diabetes worldwide. It does not force the pancreas. It improves insulin sensitivity and reduces glucose production by the liver. It is safe, it is effective, it is inexpensive. If you are not taking metformin and you do not have a medical reason not to, you should at least be discussing it with your doctor. Second class, DPP-4 inhibitors such as sitagliptin and vildagliptin. These medications increase insulin secretion only when blood sugar is high. When blood sugar is normal or low, they do not stimulate insulin. That means the risk of hypoglycemia is very low. They are generally well tolerated and much safer than sulfonylureas for older adults. Third class, GLP-1 receptor agonists such as liraglutide, dulaglutide, and semaglutide. These are injectable medications, not pills, but they are extremely effective. They improve blood sugar control, they promote significant weight loss, they protect the heart and the kidneys. They are more expensive, but in many cases they are available through insurance or public health programs for specific patients. Fourth class, SGLT2 inhibitors, such as dapagliflozin and empagliflozin. These medications lower blood sugar by helping your body eliminate excess glucose through the urine. They work independently of insulin. They reduce blood sugar without forcing the pancreas. They protect the heart and the kidneys. They are among the most modern and safest diabetes medications available today. Fifth option, alpha-glucosidase inhibitors, such as acarbose. These medications slow carbohydrate absorption in the gut, preventing sharp spikes in blood sugar after meals. All of these options are generally safer and more effective than sulfonylureas for most people over 60. So the question is, why are you still taking one of the oldest and most problematic diabetes medications when so many better options exist? Not knowing your alternatives gets a 9 out of 10. It keeps you trapped in outdated treatment. And now, number 1, the most important mistake of all, believing you don't have a choice. Believing that you must accept whatever your doctor prescribes without question. This mindset is the most dangerous of all. You do have a choice. You always have a choice. Your health is yours. Your body is yours. You have the right to ask questions. You have the right to request explanations. You have the right to ask about alternatives. You have the right to seek a second opinion. No doctor should force you to take a medication that is harming you. If you are experiencing hypoglycemia, if your blood sugar is wildly unstable, if you are gaining weight, if you feel the medication is no longer working, you have every right to say that clearly and ask for a change. The doctor-patient relationship should be a partnership, not a hierarchy where you blindly obey. A good doctor listens. A good doctor explains options. A good doctor respects your concerns. And if your doctor does not do that, you have the right to find another one. Studies show that patients who actively participate in treatment decisions have significantly better outcomes. They understand their treatment better, they follow recommendations more effectively, and they identify problems earlier. You are not a passive container for medications. You are a human being with autonomy, intelligence, and the right to make informed decisions about your own body. Believing you have no choice gets a 10 out of 10 as the biggest mistake because it keeps you stuck in all the others. Now, let me give you a practical step-by-step guide for what to do if you realize you are taking sulfonylureas and want to change. First step, do not stop the medication on your own. Never. Stopping sulfonylureas abruptly can cause severe rebound hyperglycemia. Your blood sugar can spike to dangerous levels. Second step, schedule a medical appointment as soon as possible. Do not wait months for a routine visit. Explain that it's urgent. Explain that you are having problems with your current medication and need to discuss alternatives. Third step, prepare for the appointment. Write down all your symptoms, episodes of hypoglycemia, how often they happened, weight gain since starting the medication, blood sugar fluctuations. Bring your glucose log if you have one. The more concrete information you bring, the easier it is for the doctor to understand what is happening. Fourth step, during the appointment, be direct. Doctor, I've been taking glyburide for this long and I'm experiencing these problems. I would like to try a different medication. I've read about DPP-4 inhibitors, GLP-1 agonists, and SGLT2 inhibitors. Would any of these be appropriate for me? Fifth step, if your doctor agrees to change, ask about the transition plan. Will one medication be stopped and another started immediately? Will the dose be reduced gradually? How often should you monitor your blood sugar during the transition? Sixth step, during the transition, monitor your blood sugar very closely, multiple times a day. Your body needs time to adjust. You need to make sure you are not experiencing hypoglycemia or dangerous hyperglycemia. Seventh step, give the new medication time to work. Some medications take weeks to reach full effectiveness. Do not expect miracles in the first few days. You should see gradual improvement over 4 to 6 weeks. Eighth step, stay in close contact with your doctor during the first few months. If something doesn't feel right, if blood sugar isn't improving, if side effects appear, report it immediately. Now here is the realistic timeline of what most people experience. In the first week after switching from sulfonylureas to modern medication, you may not see dramatic improvement. Blood sugar may even be slightly higher at first. This is normal. Do not panic. By weeks 2 and 3, blood sugar usually starts to stabilize. Spikes become smaller, energy improves. By weeks 4 and 6, fasting blood sugar begins to drop consistently. A1C levels start to improve, weight gain often stops, and in many cases, weight loss begins. By 3 months, most patients have a clear picture of whether the new treatment is working. The majority of people who switch away from sulfonylureas report better control, fewer fluctuations, fewer symptoms, and a much better quality of life. But all of this must be done with medical supervision. Now, let's talk about the critical mistakes you must avoid during this transition. Mistake number 1, stopping sulfonylureas on your own. I'm repeating this because it is that important. Do not do it. Mistake number 2, thinking that switching medications means you can ignore diet and lifestyle. No matter what medication you take, nutrition, movement, sleep, and stress management remain essential. Medication is a tool, not a magic solution. Mistake number 3, not monitoring blood sugar during the transition. You are changing a core part of your treatment. You need feedback from your body. Mistake number 4, giving up too early if results are not immediate. Give it at least 6 weeks. Mistake number 5, not reporting side effects. Do not suffer in silence. Mistake number 6, combining new medications with supplements or natural remedies without telling your doctor. Some combinations can be dangerous. Now, Let's talk about the real reason sulfonylureas were never the true solution. Type 2 diabetes is fundamentally a disease of insulin resistance. Your cells stop responding properly to insulin. This happens due to chronic inflammation, excess visceral fat, diets high in refined carbohydrates and sugar, chronic stress, lack of exercise, and poor sleep. Your pancreas tries to compensate by producing more and more insulin. Eventually, it cannot keep up. Blood sugar rises, you are diagnosed with diabetes. The logical solution would be to address the root cause, reduce inflammation, improve insulin sensitivity, lose visceral fat, change diet and lifestyle. Most people are perfectly capable of making these changes. Instead, traditional treatment often forces the pancreas to produce even more insulin. That doesn't fix the problem. It only hides it temporarily. It's like using fans to blow smoke out of a burning house, instead of putting out the fire. That is exactly what happens with